Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. In today's episode of Friday Ramblings, we're going to talk about organic fertilizers, commercialization of the word organic, how we get ripped off with packaging, and the price that we're paying per pound. And that's primarily what I want to focus on. I'll show you some alternatives to the organic fertilizers that are also organic. We're going to just look at price cost. They all work, nothing wrong with the products. I just want you to be aware of what you're paying for, and if you want to pay more money for something, that's fine. Just know what you're getting. I'm in a process of moving over my container plants, like I talked about, all into one section so that they're a lot easier to water. And when we're talking about these organic fertilizers, something I want you to keep in mind is the containers right here are 17-gallon containers. So that's 3 5-gallon containers, and that'll be important in a second. But one thing I do recommend, and I spread things out all over the place in the last 2 years here. Like I've got beans everywhere. I think I was talking about that. They're all going to go in one central location. I like to walk through, enjoy the beauty and the sculpting of the garden, but I'm also going to try and make it more practical. So I'm bringing everything over that are containers to one space so I can water them. Also feed them. So feeding. Here are a bunch of organic products, and I thought about covering the names of the products, but they're very proud to label their packages how they want. They're very proud to charge you what they want, so I figured I'll show you their names. Again, nothing here doesn't work. Nothing here is a rip-off because of the product inside. It's just the cost. So let's just start with what I think is most important, and that is knowing what's in the package. So sometimes the white gets messed up here. This is alfalfa pellets that you can buy at feed stores. This is from Tractor Supply. That's 50 pounds for $15.99, and the average NP and K of that product is 2.5 N, 1 P, and 2 K. That's pretty good for a organic fertilizer. And we also have beet pulp, which some of the info is right there. And that's not quite as high. It's a 0.4 in nitrogen, 0.4 in phosphorus, and a 0.7 to 4 in potassium, depending on what's going on. You also have wood ash, which I'll walk you over to. That is a great source of potassium and phosphorus. A 1 to 2 phosphorus, 4 to 10 into potassium, and that depends on what kind of wood you're burning and some other things. This is beet pulp. This is 40 pounds for $14.99. These are feed products. However, when you go over to the organic fertilizers, you're going to start seeing a price increase. So let's start with Dr. Earth. That's 1 pound of fertilizer for $5.48. Now if you go up in weight, I think you can get 12 pounds for $24. So you do save a little money that way. However, this contains fish meal and alfalfa meal as some of the main ingredients that supply the 4 nitrogen, 6 phosphorus, and 3 potassium. So they're using pulverized alfalfa, same product over there, $15.99. This is $5.48 a pound. So yeah, the NP and K are higher on these organic products, so you may have to use more of the alfalfa pellets, but if you just double that to a 524 NP and K, you're getting 25 pounds for $16, so you're still saving money. So then we move over to Espoma, which I like and actually use them. They're about 12 bucks for 8 pounds, and they also contain feather meal, bone meal. They have also alfalfa meal in it too. So these products are going to have a lot of the same ingredients across all the brands. And also the Espoma also contains poultry manure, which is a product you'll find in a lot of them too. And the reason we're going over the ingredients first, because that's what's in these products. Then we'll get to the labeling on the packages. This is Miracle-Gro Performance Organics. It's it's 1.75 pounds for $10.98. A lot of money. Miracle-Gro likes to have lots of nitrogen. This is an 927 NP and K. And this one has fish meal, soybean meal, and bone meal. There's no alfalfa meal in there. However, the products are very, very similar. Now, if you want to pay $10.98 for 1.75 pounds of a product, that's fine. But the ingredients are pretty much the same. Now, when we look at these, for the phosphorus and the potassium, they're using rock phosphate, potassium sulfate, sulfate of potash. Over on this one is rock phosphate, sulfate of potash, nitrate of soda. You can also buy something like this. This is called bone meal. Bone meal is generally less expensive, but if you're buying it in these smaller bags, it can be more expensive. You can buy bone meal from feed stores too, or different places, and it's less money. But this is high in phosphorus because it's crushed cattle bone, and the product gets put into lots of the organic fertilizers. So one way to also save money is you can buy like blood meal and bone meal, which are a lot of the ingredients that go into these packages. So when you're buying the packaged organic granulars, you're paying a lot more money. So now we get to really what is on the package and what does this all mean. Let's get rid of these. So the first thing you go is, let's put this so you can see it better. You get Dr. Earth, and they throw, it's a 463 NP&K. They throw the word homegrown, organic, natural, handcrafted, tomato, vegetable, herb fertilizer, true biotics inside, and mycorrhizae. If you're a first-time gardener, and this is what, you know, kind of gets to me, well, how do you make sense of this? Okay? Homegrown, what does that mean? Handcrafted, okay. Natural, organic. This is tomato, vegetable, herb fertilizer. What's interesting when you see that, Espoma, and I don't know why they do this, but that says herb and vegetable food, and then they have tomato vegetable food, and then you'll find stuff for like fruit plants and all kinds of stuff. And this is a 344 NP&K, and the tomato tone is a 346. Those numbers are so slightly off, those numbers aren't much different, and the variation really isn't going to be noticed in your garden, is what I'm trying to say. Because when you're doing this, you might be throwing in a handful or two into a container. You're not measuring it exactly. You're growing different vegetables, all kinds of different things going on. As I always say, you want to stay around a 555 NP&K for your organic fertilizers, and they're all going to work just about the same. So on here, Miracle-Gro, we have a nice black and yellow, black and gold, you know, power colors, performance, organics, all-purpose, Miracle-Gro results, organic and natural ingredients. They like jacking up the nitrogen because that greens up your plants and that gives the illusion that they're doing better than you might think. Yeah, no, it looks nice, but it's not really needed. A 9 is kind of high. However, this is $10.98 for $1, for 1 pound 3/4, for 1.75 pounds, you're paying $10 for this. It's just too expensive. You know, OMRI listed, you know, they're all listed that way. When you come over to tomato, to the Espoma, up top here, it has the biotone formula. So you're going to see mycorrhizae, and you're going to see things like true biotic right here, or basically words to describe beneficial microbes. You know where you find beneficial microbes and where you find mycorrhizae? Right over there in your dirt. Okay? It's already in your garden soil. Can I say that they don't add something to your container mixes? They may not have that. No, I can't say they don't add to it. Can I say that your plants are going to suffer without it? No, I can't say that either. What I can say is, just because a product doesn't have it, doesn't mean you're using a bad product. If you want to use a biotone, if you want to use stuff with mycorrhizae, that's fine. But you're going to start seeing them show up everywhere, because it's the classic thing is that when one company says mycorrhizae, when one company says biotone or true biotics, they all have to start doing it because they're trying to get our money. So now you have some idea of what is found in these different products. You can go ahead and just buy alfalfa pellets. you know, $15.99 for 50 pounds. That's about 40 cents a pound for a 2.5, a 1, 2 NP&K fertilizer. And if you want to raise that number, you just use a greater concentration. How do you use all these? You scatter them in your garden. You scatter them in the bottom of your container. You know, there's no rocket science behind it. I might do a video on it. If I were going to go with 150 pounder, it would be the alfalfa pellets. They show up in most of your organic products anyway. It's a great organic fertilizer. Buy it at a feed shop. Got that at Tractor Supply. Really inexpensive. I'm going to start, you know, using the beet pulp too. It's a kind of lower on here, but you don't really need both. If you're going to pick one, go with the alfalfa meal. Now, the other thing that I talked about, let's walk over there, is wood ash, because you can see the wood ash gives you phosphorus, a 1 to 2 phosphorus, and a 4 to 10 potassium. While all these other things, all these other companies are using, you know, sulfate of potash, nitrate of soda, sulfate of potash again, potassium sulfate, rock phosphate. That's a lot of stuff that you have to mine. Yeah, it's organic, but it can also be made. And just because it's made by people, you know, putting elements together and causing chemical reactions, that doesn't mean that it's bad for you or your garden. You know, so if you want to still stick to being organic, I agree 100%. Let's go look at some organic alternatives to where you don't have to pay a lot of money and get fooled by packaging. One of them is alfalfa pellets. You can buy alfalfa straw, and you can use that a lot cheaper. All right, let's go over to a place where I can get wood ash. So this is one view of my property, and we recently had a gazebo built here, so I can kind of just sit, enjoy the property. What do I like to do? Look at the garden, listen to the birds, hang out with family and friends, and light fires. So this is extremely high in potassium, in phosphate, and it's an outstanding fertilizer. Now when this is wet, I don't recommend putting your hand in it. You want to mix this, you know, 50% with peat moss or sand, just make scattering a little bit easier. You don't want to be breathing this all in, but it's just a light scattering across the surface of your soil or in your containers, and you're going to supply that space with a good amount of potassium, good amount of phosphorus. And you only have to do this once or twice a year, really. So what's also interesting is, for instance, if you bought that 50-pound bag of alfalfa meal, I would just scatter it down. You're going to see it on there. The pellet's going to be big. When it rains, they'll break down. Yeah, there's a risk of animals coming and wanting to eat it, but no more than using bone meal, blood meal, fish meal. All that kind of stuff is natural, and it could attract, you know, animals and stuff like that. Scatter the alfalfa meal down in the pellet form. It'll break down when it rains. Probably best used late in the fall so it can sit there over the winter or early spring. There's no exact way to use it. But in this garden, we have right in there, that little container to the right of the tower, that's 4 gallons. The bigger brown one is 10 gallons. That Dr. Earth, for $5.98, says it takes care of 5 5-gallon containers. Now, of course, you could buy up, you know, more pounds, but just think of how expensive it would be to fill. I can really count 12 containers over there, a tower, a 4-foot by 4-foot raised bed, 2, I didn't even notice those, 2 containers right there. They're at least 5 gallons. Walking over here, I mean, these are all my fall crops that are coming in. I'll be doing videos on that. More containers. You know how expensive that gets? So you can use the alfalfa meal or go to feed stores and look for the products that are cheaper, that you can repurpose sort of. You know, instead of feed, you use them in the garden. The wood ash, and you know, it's wood, it's ash, potassium, that's kind of how they came up with the name potash, is great for phosphorus, is great for potassium. And then I just did a video, if you want, I'll link it in the description and in the iCards if you want to check it out. The best way to save your money is to just have compost. I'm using grass, leaves, cardboard, straw. I explained all that in the previous video. And I'll just show you in here in case you're not going to take a look at that video. This was started at the beginning of this year, 90 days later. Look at all that. Great compost. Compost is about a 1-1-1 NP and K, if even that. It's less than that, but it's a nice, slow, even feed of the nutrients to your garden, plus all that organic matter. Compost. You may not have room, and what I recommend in that case, talk with family and friends, and maybe you can, find space on their property to compost. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know I talked a long time about the organic fertilizers. What I don't want is for each of us to be ripped off by fancy labeling, fancy packaging. Don't go buy the packaging on your organic products. Read what's in them. You're going to notice common themes in the ingredients and buy what fits your budget. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Friday Ramblings. And please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com.